A little bit about the AV wiring for this room. So as you see, this is a completely DIY build, the theater. Although the basement is being finished by a contractor and the studs and everything else are being installed by him, the theater itself, the main construction of the AT screen, the mounts, the support, and all of that is being done by me. So as part of that, for the AV wiring, I did speak to a couple of AV guys, and I was given a $500 estimate to wire this room, and even then it's probably not going to be the way I want it to be wired. So I did a little bit more research online and decided that I'll do the speaker wiring myself too. So as I said, it's basically being wired for 7.2.2. Some general guidelines that I followed is that wherever the speaker wire is going, if you look at this is a great example here. These are speaker wires at the top, right here. These are electrical wires. So wherever the speaker wire runs parallel to an electrical wire, the guideline is that you need to have like a 12-inch gap, which is what I've done. And wherever they are kind of overlapping or intersecting, you should basically have a 90-degree angle where they do, right? So that's the guideline provided. So mostly I've run the wires like that. The cables I purchased at the Monoprice speaker wire cables. So basically, as you see here, this is the rear surround. My left and my right surrounds, and that's going to be my rear subwoofer and left surround, and it goes up to the ceiling where you see a coil of wire rolled up here. That's my Atmos, the left Atmos, and the one that's coiled up here is the right Atmos. As I told you, I'm just doing a 7.2.2. So all of them come here and they basically terminate at this area, because under the stairs is going to be my AV rack. You would also see that this wire here, the blue line, is an Ethernet cable. The way I've routed it is basically from my office room, I've run a line down. So if you see that, that's a fairly long run, about 35 to 40 feet. It goes to the other side of the basement and goes up to the office room, right? A little bit of challenge getting that in through here. While drilling the hole from the top, from the bottom to the top, I ended up making a big hole in the piece of baseboard in the office. But at least I have an Ethernet cable now running downstairs to the AV rack from the office room. So if you're looking at this, right, it's basically got all of these wires here. And the left, center, and right, what I'm going to do, I'm not going to have anything fancy like this for the left, center, and right. All that I'm going to do is I'm going to poke a hole through the wall once the wall is up, and route the left, center, right, and subwoofer cables through it to the other side where it is going to plug into the AV rack. Now I want to talk to you a little bit about the electrical design. Basically, when I asked the folks in the forum about the electrical wiring needed for the theater room, some of the key things they said was that I need to have 3 dedicated 20 amp circuits basically to power the equipment, right? So I thought 3 20 amp would have been overkill for my room size, so I went with 2 20 amp dedicated circuits, which I still think is an overkill. I could have probably got away with 1 15 amp. But the way we are doing this is that if you look at this, the yellow wire that's coming here, that's going to be the 2 dedicated 20 amp circuits, right? The reason for this is because we want 1 20 amp circuit to power all of the equipment, including the projector, and the other 20 amp to power the subwoofers. Now, in hindsight, when I do the calculation for such a room size, I really don't need 2 20 amps. I just need 1 15 amp, but because each 20 amp was basically $215 extra, right? I think I went overboard there. A lesson to learn. Basically, the folks in the forum are very good from a perspective of giving the right advice. But sometimes, as someone who's doing this for yourself, you need to apply your mind, which I don't think I did over here. And I ended up putting in 220 amps, where 115 amp would have been more than enough for this room. Anyway, so moving on. So the reason we have the 220 amp is what's going to happen here is that for one of the 20 amps is going to plug into the UPS, and the UPS is where the projector needs to be plugged in. So if you look at this, how are we going to do this, right? The projector is here and the 20 amp is there. So how do I plug in a UPS into the 20 amp circuit and have the projector plug into the UPS to get it driven from the 20 amp circuit? So that's where we installed this dummy run. So if you look at this yellow cable, the electrician could actually have done a white run. Basically the difference, guys, is that the yellow is really 12 gauge and white is 14 gauge. Because for the 20 amp he's using yellow, he's using the same yellow over here. What he's done is basically created a dummy run from here, which goes up here to my ceiling. Projector will plug into this. That'll have no power until I connect the box on the right to a UPS, which connects to the box on the left, the 20 amp. Basically what you're going to do here is creating an in-wall extension. So there's a product on Amazon which is called a power inlet, not an outlet. An inlet is something which has a male plug. So that will plug into the UPS and the UPS will plug into the 20 amp, right? So that way what I'm doing is I'm using one dedicated 20 amp to run the power to the projector through using a UPS. And the other devices will plug into the same 20 amp. Now I'm doing a similar thing for the subwoofer too, because there's another 20 amp dedicated circuit here. What I've done is I put a double gang box over here. If you look at this double gang box, if you look at where the outlets are going, it's going to, one of the outlet is going here to the right. So basically the same kind of mechanism. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have a subwoofer here, which is going to plug to the right hand side. That's going to draw its power from the power inlet here. And this power inlet is going to be fed from this 20 amp circuit, right? So basically all that I'm doing is creating a power bridge. And the same thing, if you see the other white wire that goes up, it basically goes up and comes to the back here and goes to the other outlet here, which is my second subwoofer, the day when I decide to buy one. So that's going to be the same, where it's going to be powered from the 20 amp dedicated line using a power inlet connection. So that's my electrical outlets and electrical design that we're doing for this room.